This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
The trolley problem is a thought experiment in ethics and psychology that introduces a moral dilemma. An individual is faced with the decision of sacrificing one life to save others. The trolley problem explores the individual's beliefs about the value of human life and the concept of the greater good. This paper presents the analysis of two cases, Trolley Problem 1 and Trolley Problem 2. The first case poses a moral dilemma. A trolley is headed towards a group of 5 people but can be redirected onto a different track by pulling a lever, killing one person instead. The question is whether it is justifiable to sacrifice one life to save 5 others. This scenario tests an individual's beliefs about the value of human life and the concept of the greater good. The second case builds upon the first and presents a variation on the original scenario, offering more complexity to the ethical decision-making process. It is a classic example of a moral dilemma that has been discussed in philosophy, ethics, and psychology. The dilemma is whether to pull the switch or not. In Trolley Problem 2, a runaway trolley would kill 5 people on the pathway if it stays on its course. Again, pushing a stranger to the track is the only way to save these persons. The body of the stranger would prevent the train from hitting the 5 people. Nevertheless, the train would kill him. Again, the dilemma is whether to push him or not. In both cases, the response is yes because either way there would be a loss of life. Therefore, it is better to save many lives at the cost of a single life. Immanuel Kant was one of the most prominent philosophers. He is widely regarded as a key figure of the present philosophy. Kant argued that human beings should act in a way that upholds humanity as an end but not to meet certain goals. According to him, rational beings should never be treated simply as tools for achieving certain ends. Instead, they are regarded as an end in themselves and their rational motives must be respected. Kant argued that there are some kinds of actions, such as murder, stealing, and dishonesty, which are forbidden, even if they would result in more joy. In applying Kant's ethics to Trolley Problems 1 and 2, 2 queries must be taken into consideration. First is whether it is rationally justifiable for every person to act similarly. The second is whether the action upholds humanity and not simply uses beings to meet certain goals. If the answer to both questions is no, then the action should be avoided. Apparently, in both Trolley Problems 1 and 2, the act of pulling the switch and pushing a stranger to the train pathway would kill them and save the lives of 5 other people. These acts would mean using human beings to make an end, preventing the death of 5 people. Per se, these actions would not be accepted by Kant. The reasoning being cannot sensibly accept being treated simply as an object to make an end, they are regarded as an end in themselves. The 2 acts contravene Kant's ethics and are not acceptable. In addition, Kant would refute such acts if adopted by everybody. Jeremy Bentham and Stuart Mill were the 2 philosophers who developed utilitarian ethics. Utilitarianism stresses on the outcome of actions, which are either pain or pleasure. According to the theory, the right action is that which results in the greatest pleasure over pain. However, the consequences of an action are not considered only for a person but for everyone. In addition, the consequences of an action are analyzed based on its long-term effects. Utilitarian ethics claim that in any particular dilemma, the right decision to make must result in more joy and the least sadness for most people. In applying utilitarian ethics to the 2 trolley problems, the fundamental subject to analyze is whether the decision would cause more happiness to most people. The greatest happiness for the most is based on the measure. Pulling the switch and pushing the stranger to the train pathway would save the lives of 5 persons. It is arguable that these actions would bring more joy to the greatest number of people in this situation. In line with utilitarianism, the right decision in these 2 situations would be to pull the switch and to push the stranger in Trolley Problems 1 and 2 respectively. Even though the acts could be harmful to some people, they would be right provided that it would result in more joy to a great number of people. Therefore, utilitarians would say yes to the acts since they would cause more good than the alternative. In conclusion, both theories have their strengths and weaknesses. One of the major strengths of Kantian ethics is that it forbids actions that are immoral, like murder, theft, and dishonesty. Kant's ethics are rational, positive, and do not rely on the consequences of actions. However, the major weakness in Kant's ethics is that it does not exempt a maxim. This is not practical in certain situations where sacrificing a few people could cause more good. It is necessary for Trolley 1 and 2 problems. The major strength of utilitarian ethics is that it supports the greatest happiness for most people, which could be necessary in some situations. However, it disregards the minority. This means that the rights of a few persons could be violated to make the greatest happiness for most people. It is also unrealistic since most people would not prefer to act in the interest of others above themselves. If you want to find more works like this essay on the trolley problem experiment, 2 cases, head over to ivypanda.com. It has a collection of samples with thousands of submissions covering virtually all academic subjects.